Okay, welcome back. You didn't pause, you just kept watching, didn't you? All right, the Costa Rican rainforest, that's an ecosystem, which wasn't in our original vocabulary words, but it would actually be kind of between, it would be the one after biosphere. So the Costa Rican rainforest is an ecosystem. All the birds that live in San Juan Castro Blanco National Park in Costa Rica, that's the community. The scarlet macaws are the species, and all the scarlet macaws that live there are the population. So this is almost in descending order. The communities are within the ecosystem, contains all the communities. The community contains all the populations, and the populations contain all the species. That's just for those of you that are thinking ahead about that concept map. This just kills you with cuteness, doesn't it? This is a Pika, and they are really, really cute little critters. I don't know if that one's yelling or yawning. This one's bringing flowers to his girlfriend. Not really. These guys live up in high altitudes and do have a struggle for survival because they've got to go out and get food, and there's predators that are after them. And they have a very narrow climate range. If it gets above 75 degrees, they can overheat. So with global warming, they're having to move higher up the mountains. But the food supply higher up the mountains isn't as good, nor is the shelter as good. So there's some concern on the face of our Pika. It's a small mammal with short limbs, very round body, I relate, rounded ears, and no external tail. They resemble their close cousin, the rabbit, but with shorter ears. Not as much need to hear up there. All right, limiting factors. Limiting factor is anything that restricts the size of a population. And to me, limiting factors are kind of a scary thing. Because if you think about human beings, there are factors that limit our population. But how many, just how many limiting factors is it going to take before we're struggling with each other to try to survive? It's a little bit scary. So we can learn a lot by watching how nature handles this. So let's go back and visit our Pikas to understand some limiting factors. What you're supposed to do right now is grab your highlighter, pause the video, and highlight the limiting factor in each one of these. Okay, pause the video and highlight those puppies, Pikas, critters. Did you do it? Did you pause the video? No, you just kept it running, didn't you? Okay, anyway, up here, the presence of predators limits how large the population can grow. So, the limiting factor is predators. If you highlighted that already, good job, proud of you. As the population grows, I never did get the meter stick, did I? As the population grows, Pikas compete with each other for resources. Wrong one. The amount of resources, such as food and water, limit how many Pikas can survive. So resources is one of your limiting factors. Now I think we'll go over there by the bush. As the population grows, the Pikas compete with each other for resources. And it kind of reminds me of you guys at lunchtime. You shouldn't compete for lunch. But there are some of you who think it is like survival of the fittest, and you run to get to lunch because you have to compete, because there won't be any food left. But there never has been that problem, so I don't know why you run. Disease can reduce the size of a population quickly, and the amount and types of space available in the environment mean only a certain number of Pikas can make homes. So these are the limiting factors, some of the limiting factors that keep a population from getting too big. And this is important in nature. If one group gets too big, it ends up hurting the ecosystem. In Yellowstone National Park, they had a problem with the elk and deer overgrazing. And because of that, the plants near the river got eaten, and debris would run into the river, so the river got more polluted. When they reintroduced wolves, the elk and deer were more afraid to go out into the big wide open areas, and so the plants were able to come back, and Yellowstone, because of the limiting factor of the wolves and the population of elk, made the overall ecosystem better. These are the kind of things that scientists look at. We can make changes in ecosystems. We are humans, we can do that. So we want to make good ones. Adding wolves was a good one. Most of the ones we've done, unfortunately, have not been so good. Okay, well, here you get another chance to test your knowledge to list all of the limiting factors that exist. I'm just going to walk over here and get my meter stick while you try to fill these in. All right, got them all? If not, you can pause the video and try to get them all. Or you can just sit there and copy down the answers. Or you can just sit there and keep eating a snack and not even care, because I'll never know. But thank you for trying, for you nice people out there who are. Limiting factors include water, food, shelter, sunlight, predators, natural disasters, and disease. So those are your 7 limiting factors. If you felt like getting more credit on your concept map, you could add some of those 2 limiting factors, but they're not vocab words, you don't have to add them, but you might want to have the list there. All right, we have made it to population density. That's the size of a population compared to the amount of space available. For instance, in this room, I think I've got about 26 or 28 chairs. And if we have more than 28 students, then the class is, definitely too full. Our population density is not good for what we need to do here. The same happens in communities. You want the population to be the right size so that the ecosystem can support it. There is a thing called biotic potential. That's a new one. And this is what happens if you were able to give a creature everything that it needs. The example I think they used is a population of raccoons, which are cool. I think raccoons are neat. Plus I think of Rocket and Guardians of the Galaxy. That's one feisty raccoon. And he doesn't even know he's a raccoon. Anyway, if there's no disease, no danger from other animals, the only limit to the population is the number of offspring they can produce. So biotic potential is the potential growth of a population in perfect conditions with no limiting factors. So you can calculate what that actually is going to be. Carrying capacity. This is one that I worry about because I wonder about our planet. We have, I think it's about 9 billion people. And right now, we do have the ability to feed all of them. We're not doing a good job of feeding all of them, but we do have enough food to feed all of them. But there could come a day when the population is too big and the Earth can't carry all of us. How big is that? Scientists can't figure that out because technology keeps moving forward and giving us new advances, ways to make more food, and our population does keep growing. But you have to wonder, there might eventually be a time where we reach that carrying capacity, and that's not going to be a good thing. Anyway, again, the largest number of individuals of one species that environment can support is the carrying capacity. This graph shows that. You see the population, a new population just comes into the area, and they're able to grow until they start bumping up against these limiting factors, food, water, predators, disease, and so the population levels out. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is lesson 1. I hope you learned some stuff. Want some help with the concept map? Ta-da! Some help with the concept map. I'll explain it while you take a picture of it or screen capture or whatever you do. The biosphere, first vocab word, contains all of the ecosystems, which wasn't officially a vocabulary word, but it makes it work better if we fit it in here. It contains the community, which contains the population. And you could add than individual species if you wanted to. Population is increased through biotic potential, can decrease population density. It's limited by competition, limiting factors, carrying capacity. And if we have too much of this stuff, it can lead to extinction, which I don't recall seeing extinction in the chapter or it being a vocabulary word, but for some reason I put it up there, so I'm not sure. So I like this diagram best, but there's also this one that you might like better. I think it's harder to see the lines. Remember, when you're making a concept map, put a box around your words. Do not put a box around your links. Most of you know that and are doing a great job, but there's still a few of you that aren't. Well, that concludes lesson 1. Thanks for learning with me. I'll see you for lesson 2